All right, here we go again. So you have to understand, whatever happens with the immediate Ukraine negotiations or no negotiations, it's more than just Ukrainian negotiations. The American president and the Russian president met. And Putin is already, you know, it's a great deal that he says, hey, you come to Moscow, because that's what's needed, and it has to keep going. So what we're actually doing is we're helping people that may not even be born yet. And we're also helping the millennials because they're here. In the future, whether Putin passes on, whether I pass on, whether Trump passes on, there's still this thing that we're trying to establish, and that's the meeting between the Russian president and the U.S. president. It's something that we lost. For some reason, it just stopped, and I don't know the reasons. Right. So again, no matter what happens with this immediate, it's not really about the Ukrainian conflict, because it is, but it isn't. Well, the goal of the entire process should be the meetings are routine. The idea that they should meet, it's just some bullshit spycraft thing that really never served this nation. Spies are idiots, right? But they carry a lot of weight in these things. Spies and diplomats, they got no clue. Because the people that are supposed to have those jobs, like me, we don't even have a life, right? Well, because it will change the future. So again, the idea of this meeting, they're trying to trash it. Like nothing really happened. I mean, yeah, we tried, didn't work. Let's go to the next one, you know. And they keep saying, you know, Trump sold out and all this, but he didn't. He didn't. He just said, no, there's no way we're going to do it. Well, he's shifting the negotiations a little bit, but there's no finished story yet. Right? And it's not as important as we keep the U.S. president and the Russian president meeting no matter what happens. And again, Zelensky's part of that too. Zelensky can meet with Trump and Trump meets with Zelensky. That happens. All right. That's been happening. So this idea, well, oh, he's meeting with Putin. Well, he's met with Zelensky. Right. So we just keep it going because one day it'll mean something more than it even means today. That's the same way, you know, I think Reagan and Gorbachev, it happened a little quicker for them, and there was no major hot conflicts. It was just Cold Wars and things, right? So again, we missed that window. If we hit the window, you know, 15 years ago and they would have met, we maybe would not even have had anything. Like if Bush or Obama would have honestly met with Russians and kept it going from what we had going on in the 90s, then we would have been okay. Well, the whole thing was to try to make the Russians feel like they lost. Some people are just stupid like that. Right. So again, that's probably part of what did it. I mean, Russians won. I mean, the richest people in the world were Russians for a time period. I mean, now we have some rich people, but they really won the bigger battle for a while. But again, everybody tried to make them feel like they lost because they lost land and all of that. Again, Russia is one of the biggest nations in the world. There's no need for them to have any more land. I still stand by that. But I think they needed to have respect, and that's what the Russians said, that they feel like they've been respected, essentially to kind of paraphrase it. Well, again, we're not going to live forever. You know, they might actually, Putin may actually be dead. This might be like one of his clones. Nobody knows for sure if Putin's actually alive. Who knows who met Trump, you know? could have been a robot. Itchy. Well, something says it's him. So again, for all the issues that we have in the world, all the anger back and forth between different peoples and nations, something historical has just happened. And it's actually fixing what broke sometime around 1998, 99, 2000, something in there, right? I guess they were killing me, so maybe I was part of what kept that going. I don't know. Again, I do a lot of things inside that I don't know about. It's just my personality. Hashem, God, connects me to some things, and they work. Right. If I was a person that required payment, this world would already be dead. Or it'd be, it'd be much worse than it is. Because Hashem is moving my abilities without me receiving payment. Whereas other people, they demand payment in their life. Now, that maybe help them for the here and now, but it doesn't have to help them for the forever. And it doesn't actually help the planet like it could. So that's the goal. The goal right now, the real goal of the entire thing is just to keep the process going of the U.S. president meeting with the Russian president. So we never get back to this again. So we don't have to hash something out. Well, I believe what they did in Ukraine in 2012 or so, 13, whenever that was wrong. The Russians were wrong. But again, and then we never did anything. And have these little skirmishes, right? Everything to fix it. Let it fester. Right. There's a lot of people that are angry. A lot of spies stay angry. You have to roll the punches, because then if you stay attached to this thing of you killed our friends or whatever it is, I mean, it's sad. But, you just got to let it go and try to get forward of that where it doesn't happen anymore. I believe the CIA radicalized some people in Russia, and there was a lot of bad blood over that. They started an opposition to Putin, and Putin knew it. That guy should have never went back to Russia. CIA should have blocked it and told him no. Whatever that guy was that passed away. I'm not telling you Putin's a saint. What I'm saying is there's a lot of reaction to bad things. And he's the person that reacts the worst of anybody on the planet, probably, to bad things. But, right. LDS, I can't say that Putin was wrong for ruling him. I can't tell you that he was wrong at this point. Well, because he has power. You go ahead and move magic and bullshit around him in his country, he'll have him diss you, right? Lock you up. I think you're a bunch of witches and devils. I'm not against your religion. I'm not against Joseph Smith and Brigham Young. I'm against who you have come today. You're devils. You're deep state. You try to own people's minds and people's sexuality. So again, don't listen to, again, the same thing I said back with Mueller investigation. Don't pay attention to the investigation, just meet. And we may not, if that meeting would have taken place and they were beating me up, if they didn't beat me up, maybe I could have put it together with magic. And, God, of course, God's magic. And then we may not have had the Ukraine like that. I kept saying online, I don't know if anybody saw it or not, I said, you need to meet with Putin. Don't pay attention to the naysayers. Don't pay attention to the investigation. You don't have to be afraid. Meet with Putin. The same thing I told Netanyahu, get Omar in here and let's do a Palestinian peace deal of some sort. Right. Because Hashem tells me this is what we need to do. That's what a prophet's for. Did I want to be a prophet in life? No. I just want to be married and go to church. That's all I really want. But the church is fake. Boy, I'm glad I didn't go there. So again, just keep the process going. Don't worry about, the Russians. But see, they think, the Russians and their propaganda. Well, Russians and their propaganda. Trump's got propaganda. Russia's got propaganda. Canada's got propaganda. Hollywood's got propaganda. The billionaires have propaganda. So why are we even talking about it? Because that's all it is. Oh, the Russians are so. What do you expect the Russians to say? Oh, yeah, Trump cut Putin pretty good, didn't he? The Russians aren't going to say that. Right. I mean, he's in the middle of a major war. Of course, he's going to say, you know, they met, and, you know, I think it was a respectful response to what happened. They weren't trying to belittle Trump. They were trying a little psyop. But I think I feel now that Putin met Trump in Alaska, I mean, he stood on United States ground, you know, albeit Alaska. He should go to the White House. I think Trump should go to Moscow, and then Putin should go to the White House. Sleep in the Lincoln bedroom. I mean, that's how you do it. There's power in the Lincoln bedroom. Right. So again, the idea is the process. They don't have to. We didn't have a deal before they met, and we don't have a deal now. Big deal. Who cares? They met. That's historical. Don't take it away from the process that you're beginning. Read. That's what I told That's why I told the Jews. Get them out in there, start working on a peace plan. I even told them make a deal with military, make a deal with Fatah and give them tanks and ride in there with them. Right. Get rid of Hamas. I told Israel, my opinion was at that certain point, like in 2017 or whatever, was for Israel to work with Fatah and say, hey, let's bury our differences. Let's go get Hamas together. They would have worked. Everything I told Israel to do would have worked. Not the shit they got going on. I mean, you need to kill all those people? No, you didn't. You didn't need to have a war. Psychology works. You know what works? The Torah works. And the Torah works the psychology. All you got to do is say, this is the stranger. That kid over there is an orphan. That woman over there is a widow. That kid over there is the fatherless. And it would have worked. It's magic. You come to your border checkpoint, you set a harassing them. Hey, you want to sit down and have a cup of tea, cup of coffee? You want some falafel? I tell you, it works. Again, it's an investigative technique that also works for building those bridges. So again, that's what's happening. The President of the United States and the President of Russia shut down, and they had some falafel. Right. No, I know it affected Putin. Putin's one of those. I mean, he has a lot of hate for certain things and certain people, but he also is hated. Do you see how that works to a certain degree? Right. So I think at this point there's a curse that's there, and that curse has at least been moved away for the moment. And I think it affected Putin. I'm not saying he's the most trustworthy leader on the planet, because he has goals, and he's goal driven. Vladimir has always been goal driven. Bringing his mother and his father. But I think it's funny that they're both named, it's Volodymyr and Vladimir. I mean, isn't that funny? Their first names. Again, as a seer, that means something. I couldn't tell you exactly why Hashem did that, but maybe they both have a little bit of blame for what's happening. Right. Again, I blame the process, really, of how it was supposed to go. And again, there's a lot of corruption out there, a lot of money, a lot of greed, right? From all angles. I think Russia was made, again, some of the stuff the CIA was doing probably made Russia feel like they lost something. And they didn't. I mean, when you look at the landmass Russia has, you look at the wealth they had, again, now they still have some of it, but not like they did. Right? They won. U.S. citizens weren't doing as well as Russians, really. Right. As a whole, again, you know, we probably had more of a decentralized kind of semi-okay status, but they had some pretty big stuff going on in Russia over the years. So again, I think it's all of a again, the psychology was off. So when they're meeting, the psychology is not off, like it is when they don't meet. Right? And the UN made a classic error of, you know, that spies make. And so I'm wondering if spies were steering the UN. They did not respect the Russians. That's how you get out of that situation. If you're not going to present a neutral thing, you're not going to get out of it. Right. That's the only way to have gotten out of it, is to respect the Russian, not to say, look, you can even say to them, look, we don't necessarily agree with what you're doing, but you appear to have a grievance, and we are the United Nations, and we will work on your grievance. Let's meet, and you know, we can meet in Donetsk, we can meet wherever it is, in Donbass, whatever it is, right? And we'll address your grievance. And we'll bring inspectors and everything. And like I said, I don't know if that's really why they did it. You know, again, there was some psychology out there that probably made them feel like they needed to flex their muscles. Right? And I believe somebody lied to Putin. Putin believed his military was better prepared. Again, it's happened to a lot of armies over the years, where military people, you know, there's a lot of corruption and things in the world, and that's that. Right? But I think a little bit of respect would have gotten us somewhere. You know, as far as, again, the United Nations is supposed to be neutral, and they weren't. And I think that's where the war began, in earnest. And again, if President Trump had met with Vladimir Putin in 2017 or 2018, it would have been a whole different world. Who knows how many times they would have met until, you know, who knows, President Trump may have made it a second presidency. So again, the process is the win. The process is the win. Again, Rabbi Yeshua ben David said, blessed are the peacemakers. Maybe there's a little bit of personal steering by, you know, Trump wants something, Vladimir Putin wants something, Zelensky might want something. So what's the reality? But you're still entering into the process. And the process itself might power itself now. So we actually went back into a Cold War status, which we shouldn't have been. But why? You stop meeting. And that's it for now. I'm going to have to get these prayers done. Be back in a second.